Hello and welcome to the BetHelper betting preview. The game we're going to be looking at now is Cameroon versus Holland. It's the final group game in Group E. The other game, Denmark versus Japan, is also scheduled for the same time of 7:30. It's for June 24th. It's a Thursday. The venue here is Cape Town, so we're going to be at sea level. Have a look at the Asian handicaps. The handicap is Cameroon plus 0.75, Holland minus 0.75. Cameroon plus 0.75 is actually shortening a good bit. Then meanwhile, Holland is drifting. I think Holland are expected to rest some of their big stars, so that's a possible reason why you've seen that kind of movement on the Asian handicaps. As you would expect, Cameroon with nothing to play for, and Holland wanting to keep their clean sheet record and 100% win rate intact. But I guess we'll see. The over 2.5 goal market was the initial handicap in Asia. It's now down to 2.25, so they're not really expecting goals there. Maybe you're expecting 2 goals, but not 3. Looking at the betting exchanges have Cameroon shortening at 5.1 from 5.2. They've Holland slightly drifting at 1.84 from 1.83. They have the draw flat at 3.75, and the over 2.5 goal market is drifting slightly at 2.12 from 2.1, so the under's taking the advantage there. Looking at the percentage match at the betting exchanges, at the moment it's only 400,000 that's actually matched, so we'll expect that to jump up to around 5 million mark before kickoff. But anyway, you can see that Holland have a very strong support at the moment. They've 88% of that that 400,000 that's been matched at the moment. Cameroon just make up 7%, while the draw comes in at 5%, so clear favourite there. Looking at the overs market, the over 2.5 goal market, the overs has 43%, so it's pretty close. The unders then obviously have 57%, so unders are being favoured there. Looking at the bookies have Cameroon flat at 4.5, they've Holland flat at 1.83, and they've the draw flat at 3.6, and the over 2.5 goal market is flat at 2.05. So again, unders slightly shading that one. Having a look at the form for Cameroon is pretty dire. They've actually 0 wins in their last 6 games. I was about to say 1, but they actually don't. They've 2 draws and 4 defeats. They've lost both their opening games. That was against Denmark 2-1 last time out, where they were leading at one point, and they lost their opening game 1-0 against Japan. So not a very good form so far in the World Cup. And then if you compare that with Holland, they have 6 victories in a row. They beat Japan 1-0 without looking too convincing or getting out of second gear. They beat Denmark similarly. They didn't really look 100% flowing, but they still managed a victory and a clean sheet. Looking at the head-to-heads, they've actually 2 meetings. Their first meeting was in '98, where they drew 0-0. They also met in 2006, where it was a 1-0 win for Holland on that occasion. So Holland having the upper hand there in that one. Looking at some streaks, Holland are unbeaten in World Cup games against African sides. There's only been 3 of them, but they're still undefeated. Cameroon have only 1 win in 12 World Cup games, so they've finding it difficult at this level. Holland have only conceded 2 in their last 6 World Cup games. They've kept 4 clean sheets in that as well, and obviously the last 2 games so far this tournament have been clean sheets as well. Holland have actually won all 10 competitive games since they lost to Russia in the European Championships in 2008. They won all their 8 qualifying games, and they've won their 2 competitive games so far in this World Cup. Cameroon actually don't have any wins in 9, so they're in dire form. Looking at the rankings have Cameroon in 19th according to FIFA, while they're 39th according to the ELO rankings, so picking up their poor form there. Holland then on the other hand are 4th according to FIFA, while they're 3rd according to the ELO rankings, so again their good form being picked up in that one. The referee for this one is Pablo Pozo. He's from Chile. He actually reffed the Portugal-North Korea game. He gave 4 yellows in that one, and so far he's reffed 61 international games. He's given 309 yellow cards, giving an average of 5.07 yellows per game. So that's a particularly high rate of yellow cards there. The average is 3.5, so he is a bit higher. Um, he's given 35 red cards. That gives him an average of 0.57 reds per game. So again, that's about twice the average we've seen. And he's given 15 penalties, which is giving him an average of 0.25 penalties per game. So slightly higher than average, but it's nothing too extreme. In terms of injuries, there's no major injury worries for this one. The only thing that will come into play is who Holland actually decide to put out. They might decide to rest Robin, Van Persie, Schneider, Van der Vaart, giving some of their younger players an opportunity. Huntler might get a start, Elia might start in the wings, as will Affley maybe. So there might be a raft of changes there. Looking at the goals scored in qualification, Cameroon have an average of 1.5 goals per game. They've conceded an average of 0.33 goals per game. They weren't in the strongest of qualifying groups, so hence the low level of goals conceded there. Looking at Holland, they've an average of 2.125 goals scored per game, so that's a particularly good scoring record for them. They've an average of only 0.25 goals conceded, so their clean sheet record is displaying that way they've such a low goal scoring conceded record. Looking at the probabilities, the computer probabilities has Cameroon on a 16% chance of victory, so that pretty much writes them off. Gives 69% to Holland, so they're the heavy favourites there, and the draw comes in at 15%. So again, that's a bit lower than what we'll see at the bookmakers implied probabilities. Having a look at them there now, it has Cameroon on a 20% chance of victory, so it's a bit higher than the computer probabilities. It's got Holland at a 55% chance of victory, so that's a good bit lower than what we've seen on the computer probabilities, so that might imply that Holland are at decent value odds at the moment, despite the shortness of them. And the draw comes in at 25%, which is higher than 15% based on the computer probability. So again, we've become accustomed to that as bookmakers lower the odds on the draw. In terms of suggestions, it's a bit surprising that Cameroon are actually shortening at the current handicap level in Asia, so we're going to have to monitor that closely, see if it changes. Wouldn't be too convinced on placing a bet on Cameroon. Don't really have any confidence in them. I actually had them to be the highest finishing African side, based solely on their odds, given that they were fives, whereas Ivory Coast and Ghana were at 2.5 to 1. So it was a bit of a punt, but I've learned the hard way of not to put your money on Cameroon, so I'm not sure if I'll be doing that again. The unders market, you probably have to look at the over 2 goal market here. I will see if it changes in Asia to the over 2.5 goal market. So at the moment you'd have to look at the over 2 goal market. The referee, he seems to like dishing out yellows, so we might have to look at the Cameroon getting more yellows than Holland in that one. He does like giving out reds. Probably won't have red in this one, I wouldn't imagine. Now, even if I do think there is, I'm not really going to put my money where my mouth is, really. So check out twitter.com/BetHelper to get some updated analysis on the latest movements. We'll give some updated tips and my actual selections. Leave any comments below, any feedback or suggestions to BetHelper.ie at gmail.com. So look forward to tomorrow's rounds of games.